Hey there, Laura Lynch, the Tiny House Advisor here. Thanks for coming back to the Tiny House Advisor channel. I wanted to talk a little bit about what is financial planning with tiny living values. So, to understand why I help with financial planning with tiny living values, we have to first understand what is financial planning for values altogether. So, taking a little step back, I believe in financial planning based on a person's values, and here's why. When we started out our trek through adulthood, we had sort of default values that maybe we grew up with, or that we learned from our family, or that we gathered through our education, or what have you. And it's all too easy for us just to kind of follow the path that we were prescribed and truck on through life doing the things that we think we are supposed to do because everyone else told us to do those things. And then land somewhere later on in life and realize that we're out of alignment with what is most important to us. So, certainly, we got our values from our family, maybe from a religious community, maybe from the culture in the time that we grew up. But those default values may not align with our own personal values that we develop based on our own personal life experiences. We are bombarded by values. They are shown to us on all the screens all the time. And there are a lot of values that are shared with us out there around materialism, as an example, that can have a really impactful sort of influence over where we land in the long term. It is hard to make financial plans for folks if they don't know what is most important to them and what their values are. Therefore, one of the very first steps that I do with folks is have them explore their own personal values. Now, this was an exercise that myself and my partner Eric went through a few years ago as we were assessing in our sort of midlife, where are we headed moment. We looked to figure out what our values were so that we could design a life around those values. So you may be wondering, how do I figure this out? Well, if you head over to thetinyhouseadvisor.com, at the bottom of the page, you will find the ability to provide your name and email address and get a values worksheet, which you can see a page of it on your screen right now. This will take you through an exercise, and there's lots of different ways to figure this out. And certainly this exercise is not fully comprehensive. There's a lot of other things that might be values that aren't on this worksheet, but it definitely can take you down the road of exploring what is deeply important to you. Now, this is really important because we are making life decisions all the time. We are making life decisions in moments where we have career change, where we have job offers, where we might have to move for a career. We have moments where stirring inside of us is a direction we want to go, but we're not sure if we should go down that path. People make decisions about whether to expand their family, where to live. All of these things don't have a very direct roadmap for us if we don't know what our values are and how we might sort of over time come in more alignment with ourselves. So these values are really critical in helping us make decisions that make us start to feel more like our true self over time. So the first step, of course, is knowing what your values are. And so I provided this worksheet on the tinyhouseadvisor.com where you can go and download this sheet and go through this exercise yourself. So, back to the original question, what is financial planning for tiny living values? Well, folks that have tiny living values are specifically trying to emphasize experiences, impact, being present over materialism. I think that that's probably one of the primary tiny living values. Some others that come to mind for some folks may be about sustainability, maybe about resilience, maybe about creating community. So, all of those things are represented in the financial planning that I do for folks. So, let me encourage you to head over and get that worksheet. And I'm also going to put a link in this video to an entire values conversation that my partner Eric and I had on my podcast, Less House, More Moolah, where you can hear us explore this topic and how we sort of negotiated this conversation within our relationship. So make sure you check that out. And please subscribe to this channel if you're interested in continuing to unfurl the tiny house advisor and understand what it means to do financial planning specific for the tiny house community.